I was one of these people who was in relatively good health, living with illness, but happy with where I was, and then in a matter of minutes had a rupture occur inside my intestines that led me to a medical catastrophe and a near-death experience. Within a couple of hours of feeling an initial pain, I found myself on an operating table having emergency surgery, which was complicated, which tried to address a lot of trauma, and as with a lot of emergencies, there's only so much that can be done. The good news was that my life was saved. The harder news was that there were a lot of complications that followed for months afterwards. And part of the treatment that I had in trying to allow my body time to heal was called nothing by mouth. NPO is the medical abbreviation for it. I was restricted from all food and all drink for several months and was fed intravenously through a food pump. That comprises the central part of this story. Going without food for 3 months was incredibly hard. And food was essential to my life. It's essential to everyone's life. And not only was I missing all my favorite flavors and cravings, in fact the cravings only got worse the longer and longer I went without food, and the physical feeling of hunger. But it was the emotional conditions of food that I missed more than anything else. Our family, for instance, has a regular dinner every night, my wife and 2 sons and I. And they would go on as eaters, eating, and I would sit aside them in our living room, watching them eat. And what was hard was this feeling of being separated from my routine and separated from humanity. Not being able to participate in the social function of eating was as hard as missing all the flavors that I was craving almost constantly. The role of my family and my wife Susan is central to the telling of this story. My wife was forced into playing many roles: caretaker to me, caretaker to our children, still maintain a career and try to maintain a home, and then had to endure really terrible strains on our marriage and on her own well-being. It was strange for her to see her life explained in prose like this, but ultimately when she read it, I think she was very happy with the storytelling, thought it was an honest telling, and she herself has heard also very nice comments from readers. I think, like a lot of people who go through near-death experiences or these kinds of traumatic ordeals, you learn things in the process that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, and the same was the case for me. My priorities changed. That's a general way of saying that the things that I had in my life prior, which I was aware of and appreciated, I now value to a degree that I couldn't have without going through this experience. And essentially it is, I understand that the best things that I have in my life are the people I have in my life. The relationships that I have with my family and with old friends and with new friends, they are really the sustenance of my life in a much more vivid way than I understood before this long experience.